Welcome back to the garden here in Neath, South Wales. Well, it has been raining quite heavily today, so I've been in and out of the house and just making the most of the little breaks in between the showers. And this afternoon it seems to have opened up quite well. It's about 15 degrees at the moment, so it's still quite warm, an ideal time to go moving a few little plants around the garden. So I've got a few things to do today, so let's get started. Autumn is the ideal time just to go planning for next year, and the soil is still warm from the late summer, so it's also an ideal time to be moving some plants about in the garden. So I'll take you around and show you what I've got planned. So today's plan of action, let's walk down the garden, and this is the triangular bed here, and what I've got growing in this bed is this beautiful viburnum, and that's coming into flower now at the moment, and this plant is going to get quite large, so I was thinking of moving this plant down to the bottom end of the garden where it can grow to be a beautiful flowering hedge. And what I've got down there at the moment is a Euphorbia honey pot, and that is going to grow to be quite a large Euphorbia, quite similar to this John Phillips that I've got here, which is about 2 meters across at the moment. And the plan is that I want to pop the Euphorbia just on the end of that bed there. So the area that I want to pop the Euphorbia is just here, and this is just on the corner of one of the beds in the middle of the garden. And I've got a lovely pittosporum there, so I want something evergreen here. And I think the Euphorbia, it'll be an ideal space for it here. So let's move now down to the bottom of the garden. So walking down the path, and you would see that just tucked behind the greenhouse there, this is a bit of a forgotten area. And the Euphorbia that I bought, the Euphorbia honey pot, is doing really well. And where I want to pop this, if I just spin you around, so this is the back of the greenhouse, you'll see that that pittosporum is just on the corner there of the garden bed. And I think that would be an ideal place just to put the Euphorbia. So I'm going to dig that up and get that in the ground just there. So let's get the gloves on and let's get in. Start digging up this plant. Now, it hasn't really been in that long, so hopefully it will move quite easily. I don't really want to go getting the spade out if I can help it. That's coming out quite easily. Here we go. Lovely. There's a good bit of root on that. And I've got just the place to pop that in the garden. So we'll pop that over the other side for the moment. I'll get this Euphorbia in place. There really is some lovely earth in this garden. So we'll get that now at the right height. And backfill all around. This should be an ideal spot here. And it's easier to move it now to its forever place than when it gets too big, because when it gets too big, these don't transplant very well, the euphorbias. Well, that's what I found in my garden anyway. So give that a good firming in. And that's one plant that's done in the garden, ready for next spring. And on the corner now of the centre bed, the euphorbia honey pot, that's in its place, so that can grow really large there. And I haven't watered it yet, but even though it's been raining quite a lot, I am going to give that a water in. So looking now at the bottom of the garden, and what I want to add to this border is a little bit of height. So looking now at my euphorbia that I didn't think was doing too well, that does look as if it's going to flower. So what's the plan here? Right, well, I'm not going to dig up my euphorbia. I'm going to leave that now and see how that goes. I think it's going to be okay. So next to that, I've got a Sambucus Black Beauty. Now that is going to grow to be quite a large plant. But in that area, I want to add another large Trachycarpus. So the Sambucus Black Beauty will be going this side. So the Oleander, that doesn't really like the winter weather, so that's going to be dug up and put into a pot and given the protection of an unheated greenhouse. So that's the next job to do today, dig up the Oleander. So just remember now that when you are handling any of these Oleander plants, just to wear gloves, as they are really toxic. All parts of this plant are toxic, and if you do cut it back at any time, you're not even supposed to set fire to or burn any of the foliage, as that also gives off highly toxic fumes. So I'm hoping now that this plant put into a pot and given the shelter of the greenhouse will help it survive through the colder winter months in my garden, and hopefully it'll keep it just away from the frost. I can always pop in and just give it a little bit of fleece over the top for a little bit of added protection. So fingers crossed for this plant. So the salvias are still in full flower, but just look at the beautiful colours now on this smoke bush just before the leaves now are going to drop. They have started to drop already, but what a fantastic autumnal shade on them. And in the triangular bed now is the Pittosporum, and that can grow up now behind the Euphorbia John Phillips. And I've also got plenty of salvias in this bed. So that should fill up now quite nicely. So the other palm tree in the corner, this was the last edition, and this was £150 from B&M. And I'm just thinking now of this weekend, maybe going back and buying another one. And I think, just looking now, so we've got a waggy there, and that there will be an ideal space for it. So I've now got a lovely spot in the garden, ready to put a new palm tree next to the Euphorbia, and the Sambucus now is tucked in there, and that'll grow really tall behind there. And that's what I want, a little bit of height at the bottom of the garden, just to add a little bit of privacy and enclosure. So the oleander now has got the protection of the greenhouse for the winter, so that'll keep it a little bit more on the dry side. And I've got the banana there, and this in here is getting fuller every week. But everything's doing just fine. And I've noticed today that we've got some lovely growth coming on the Fatsia there. And this is a Fatsia polycarpa. And if you just look in there, there's loads of tiny little leaves. And also the star jasmine is growing really well now up the trellis. And it's almost to the top there. Not far to go. So it's about 4:45 now in the evening, and at this time of day there's some lovely light in the garden, and it really shows off the plants to their full potential. And the bananas are still going strong here, so no sign yet of having to cut them back and wrap them up. Hopefully we'll have a few more weeks. And it's lovely to see some autumn flowers in the garden, and just look at the tops there on the Fatsia japonica, full of flowers, and they're absolutely beautiful in the garden at this time of year. And we've also had no frosts yet, so it's still got plenty of leaves on the tetrapanax in the garden, but still no sign of any flowers. But the buds there have started to open slightly, so I'm hoping that it won't be too long. And just look at that on there. It's like something prehistoric. What a wonderful plant, the tetrapanax. And I'm really liking that new Pittosporum there now. That really fills the space there in the garden. And we've still got leaves on the plum tree, although they are starting to fall now. But the salvias are still in full bloom. You've still got roses in the garden. But considering now it's November, the colours are so striking now in the garden. The Clematis amandii, this has only been planted in this year, and just look how much now that's spread out over the trellis. That's doing really well. So thank you so much for joining me in the garden today, and it was lovely to come out and spend a few hours in the garden just getting a few jobs done. It's been almost a week now since I've been able to get out due to the weather here in South Wales, but hopefully now it won't rain this weekend and Tony and myself will be able to go out and buy a new palm tree just to put in that new space that I've made. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.